Welcome everybody to the 300RAwPodcast. I'm your host, Jonathan, where we're going to dive into the depths of human experience and timeless stories that shape our world. We're exploring profound concepts of masculine and feminine energies, their historical significance, and how they intertwine to shape our universe. I'm going to pause for a moment and go ahead and introduce my guest, the divine couple, Vince and Niyama, and check in with you guys to see how you guys have been doing.
Doing great. What about you, Jonathan?
Great. Yeah. Just
amazing.
Sunday, Father's Day.
Father's Day. Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
I'm a dad. You're a dad. So that's
Happy
on
Father's
point.
Day to you too.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of being a dad, divine timing and synchronizations. My daughter, Maddie, come here real quick. We just started recording, so you can hop in. You're wearing my sunglasses, like a little goofball. Come here. This is my oldest, Madison.
Hi, Madison. Hi
Yeah.
again, Madison.
What you need, babe? So, thank you guys.
No problem.
So, so you guys been good? Everything, the weather's good. Father's Day, my weather was great here today.
Yeah, perfect.
It's a beautiful day today.
It's a beautiful day.
Had a great time with the kids yesterday and with their mom.
Yeah. Any summary of energies you guys been feeling lately? I always like to ask that because everything.
Yes, something that I can share. I've been sick this week.
Yeah.
But
with the cat.
Yeah, the cat in the same time. That's
crazy, right?
Crazy experience.
Really?
With that as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically, I had that massive headache, and that energy. Basically, I threw up. But to me, I know I was not sick. I was feeling my third eye expanding, that would fall under the ascension symptoms, even if I am not a big fan of that term, or because those ideas, but to me it was clearly that, and it was intense. So it was really that I was feeling that third eye expansion, but massive. And also I had to throw up to let go of a old energy, a release,
like a purge.
Yes, exactly. Because when Andrew was here, we did some I will call that work together. Some ceremonies, and I will not lay out all the details. But it was with DMT, and we did it like it was not planned, because Andrew, what I understood by our the 3 weeks, the 3 weeks of him being here, is that Andrew really lives in the now moment. Everybody's about the now moment, but Andrew, he lives in the now moment. And during our experience, I managed to join him in that now moment. So that would be something interesting, maybe down the road, to break down with Andrews, to get his perspective if he's willing to go there. But I will just keep it macro vision for now, macro perspective. But we shared that space for a moment on DMT, Bufo Alvarez, the Toad. Which is a very, very powerful, and I'm not advocating anyone to do psychedelics. This is, again, highly holy medicine, and doesn't mean that it there is some quote unquote risk associated to that. So I don't want to push that idea, but to me, I'm comfortable with it. I experienced it, and I'm able to navigate at this stage with it. Yeah. So
quite nicely.
Yeah. So basically we did it together, and usually people they take it and they just go for 20 minutes. in
somewhere else.
On the eye closed, but us, we stayed there, continuing. We were talking, and when we shared that space, while both of us being like there, so none of us were like going through a massive healing. We were just like there in the moment, in the now. It was an experience that, again, we cannot really explain with words, but we were really in the now together. And according to him, and maybe Ken for expand later, it was the first time that he was receiving like someone in that space with him at the same time. And it was really like the feeling like, Fight Club, like that Fight Club type of vibe. So I will leave it like that for now, but all that to say that we did like more than once. So at one point I really like took that DMT, and I took that super big inhale, and I pushed it, like I kept my breath, and I really like pushed it in my brain, like to really like, I had the call to do that. So I really like pushed it, and I felt it like going into like my third eye, and it was like the DMT like breaking down some like the dark. It was like a dark versus light type of experience, and it was like the DMT was breaking down uh, things. So all that to say that and then Andrew left, and then this week I had that. I was like quote unquote sick, but I know it was just energetic, the work that was continuing. So I really like felt my third eye boom, like a blooming blast. Yes, exactly. And also during the DMT, like I felt like energy like coming out of my heart chakra. And this week I just had like to puke it out, and then it feels amazing now. So this is experience, because here we go into those type of vortex, and again we are used to navigate through that. So it's like, if anybody has the call to do those type of medicine, just you have to have the call, and it's a very personal choice. But
and the cat throw up as well.
The cat threw up as well.
Yeah. Which
the cat
funny.
was energetically feeling what you were.
And she had no reason to throw up.
Yeah.
She just did in the middle of the night. I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, she's sick. And like, everybody's sick. I'm going to get sick too. And then,
you didn't get sick.
No, I didn't get sick. Nobody else.
When I went to pick up you and you got in the car.
Yeah, energetically, I got into his energy, and his energy was so like heavy that I had like I was nauseous. Really, 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 really nauseous, as I was like, and I'm like, I'm just gonna stay far away from you. And I don't have time to get sick. Because I thought he was sick, but it was energetic what I was feeling.
The energies lately for me too. Again, just fine tuning everything's energy. So I've had some personal stuff too. I went on a trip, and man, we were so active. Like, we hiked 26 miles in like 2 days. We did a rock climb. I went skydives one day after that. So like, it was just like definitely like a different, reaching some other energetic levels for myself as well, and I'm using some plant teachers myself. And I will say, like, thank you for sharing that. And it is hard for us all when people tell stories like that. I often think of, it's hard for us to experience what you experience. We're not the observer from that. So, thank you for at least trying to help us feel and see what you were feeling. And I do agree with you that, like, if somebody in the future now, whatever's listening to this, and you're thinking about that's something that you've personally thought about you need to do. In my understanding, if you're somebody who's had a hard experience with, say, even like cannabis, that might not be your best route, because sometimes that stuff does throw you into like a fight or flight type of nerve response. So it might not be something you want to look into. And I'm not going to tell you what to do as like your doctor or anything. Just you might want to use it with a little extra precaution, I guess I would say, and understand incremental changes to maybe get or experience it like the same way Vince did. Because I do know Vince, and I do feel like, from what I know about him and I know about myself, he pushes his body a lot and his conscious awareness, and there is a lot of that to it. Where you've at a autonomic nervous response level have trained your body to react differently.
Yeah.
So,
and they are cases of people that they go to do those type of plant medicine and they never come back from it. So there is like it's a soul journey, but some they just go into that rabbit hole, and
at least you have to start small.
Yeah, you have to start small, and then you need to respect and you need to integrate. That's the key, because some they just go back there, so they disrespect the plant, they disrespect the medicine. So that's from what we observed around us, those who got lost are those who abused it.
Yeah. No, thank you for pointing that out. Well, we'll kick right into it. Thanks for, kind of touching base on where you guys have been with your energy lately. And, but today with Father's Day, I did kind of on an energy basis. I just had a very big calling to talk about the masculine and feminine energies, especially the masculinity in today's world. So anyways, I'll just kind of jump right into it. I have a few things I'll go over real quick, and then we'll kind of pause at some moments for dialogue, and then just have some other open floor discussions. But I'll kind of drive it from, I kind of have a little script I want to kind of go off of. But anyways, masculine and feminine energies are terms often used in discussions about gender, spirituality, and psychology, but what do they really mean? How have they been perceived throughout history, and what philosophical insights can we glean from these perceptions? To understand these energies, we must first look at their fundamental characteristics. Traditionally, masculine energy is associated with traits such as strength, assertiveness, protection, and action. It is the yang to the yin, the force that propels forward, creates structure, and seeks to conquer. Feminine energy, on the other hand, is often linked with nurturing, receptivity, intuition, and fluidity. It is the yin that complements the yang, that forces the nurturers, creates connection, and adapts. Historically, these traits have been embodied in various archetypes. In ancient Greek mythology, Zeus, the king of gods, is a prime example of masculine energy. Zeus is not only powerful and assertive, but also a protector and enforcer of order. His leadership and authority are quintessentially masculine, representing the energy that governs and maintains the cosmos. Moving forward in time, we see the embodiment of masculine energy. In historical figures like Alexander the Great, Alexander's conquest and his ability to unite vast territories under his rule demonstrate the assertiveness and strategic thinking often linked with masculine energy. His drive to achieve and expand the boundaries of his empire is a testament to the action-oriented nature of his energy. But masculine energy is not solely about power and conquest. Philosophers like Plato and Aristotle have also contributed to our understanding. Plato in his dialogues often speaks of the philosopher king, a ruler who embodies wisdom and rationality, traits that, while traditionally masculine, are essential for balance and masculine energy. Aristotle, on the other hand, emphasizes the importance of reason and of virtue in achieving eudaimonia, or human flourishing. Here, masculine energy is seen as a guiding force towards ethical living and societal harmony. From a philosophical standpoint, masculine energy is about more than just dominance and control. It's about the pursuit of ideals, the establishment of order, and protection of the community. It's the outward expression of inner drive to shape the world, to leave a legacy, and create a space where others can thrive. We're going to take a brief detour in rich history of the global energy as seen through the lens of the Hindu Yuga cycle. The Hindu Yuga cycle is an ancient concept that divides time in 4 distinct ages, yugas. each characterized by different levels of virtue and vice, balance, and imbalance. These yugas are Satyuga, the age of truth, the golden age where virtue reigns supreme and humanity is in perfect harmony with the divine. Masculine energy in this era is characterized by wisdom, spiritual strength, and righteousness. Treta Yuga, the age of three. A decline begins with virtue still strong but not as prevalent as the Satyuga. Here the masculine energy is marked by heroism and adherence to duty, exemplified by figures like Lord Rama in Hindu mythology. And I think I always kind of say this one wrong. Vapara Yuga, age of two. Virtue and vice are balanced equally, and the world begins to see a significant decline in moral and spiritual standards. Masculine energy in this era is associated with physical prowess and dedication to knowledge, as seen in characters Mahabharata. Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, which this is said to be the current age. Characterized by a predominance of vice and decline in spirituality, masculine energy in Kali Yuga often manifests in more aggressive and materialistic forms, reflecting the challenges of the age. The cyclical nature of the Yuga system reflects the fluctuating states of global energy and consciousness. As we move through these cycles, the expression of masculine and feminine energy shifts, impacting how societies function and individuals find balance. So before I go on, I'm going to pause here for a minute just to kind of get your guys' take on that little few minute kind of introduction into some of the historical context. The reason I like to bring in the Yuga cycle for myself is because it gives me a structure that I can build off of. It gives me almost like this understanding that it's really about a universal energy. When everything's energy, that there's this expansion and constriction that's always happening. And so this masculine and feminine, there's 4 quadrants and 4 ages where it's kind of balanced, or it's dominant this way and dominant this way. And we're coming into the end of that era where people are supposed to be balancing that inside themselves first, and then inside a small community, a region, globally, right? So that's why I like to always bring that into attention when we talk about the feminine and masculine energies. And the reason I like to, we're going to start from some historical context and get into some stuff later that I'm going to hope, I really, really can't wait to have Beyond this perspective on this. I think it's going to be very powerful. But like the Yuga cycle for me teaches me, especially as a masculine in today's world, that to recognize energy and recognize the universe in these cyclical patterns and these expansions, we have to see it in a form that, right, left brain, mind, body, spirit, right? And so you have these different expressions inside yourself first. We often attach it to gender so much. And Vince, you've taught me that, and others have taught me that here even recently about these divine couples or divine structures, of that balance of energies. And it can be brothers, or it could be, siblings. And I see so much truth in that because of the energy structure. So yeah, when people find that balance, that relationship is very virtuous, blissful. There's a lot of different expressions that we get attached to it. But I do feel the Yuga cycle gives us, at least from my understanding, as far as looking at ancients, because a lot of ancients, and we'll get into this in historical context, have their own version of what a defined, feminine or masculine type of balance or structure or story is. So when we look at stories, people get caught up, especially in our physical world, at least my understanding is on the actual physical being instead of an energy representation of whatever that story is, So sometimes it's even more just about the story and the energy that it provides and the thought form than it is about a physical structure. So with the Yuga cycle, it gives us this basis. It gives us this big kind of calendar to kind of go off of. So from my understanding is that we're like tick, 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 tick. We're getting this energy cycle and we're here, boom, literally on the tail of the Kali. And it's about to flip into the golden age. what that means. We can all predict futures because we like to do it. We all have our different understanding of that based on where we came from. But, in a nutshell, that's, from my understanding, a format that we can start this whole conversation with and build off of. Mm-hmm. So let's start there as a global concept.
Perfect.
Before we fragment it further. So with that being said, do you guys have any thoughts or inputs as far as that framework and that basis, or any different understanding of such?
No, I think you said it perfectly. And with that basic, people can understand that it is natural what is happening. We cannot fight the cycle. We don't have to. We just have to embrace what the cycle is and work with it to make it the best that we can. So I think you explained it pretty well.
Thank you. And that was very well input. That is good, the natural aspect. And that gets more into the cosmic flow of the energy, I think, too, when you start harmonizing with it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So people can understand. And I think that also gives us a basis of compassion that, even from a young age, if somebody hasn't understood something quite yet and they're older or whatever it is, you can have a little more compassion, understanding that there's an energetic construct that's working against people from day one, from first when they become an energetic being, at conception.
Yeah.
So it's already a global energy that's already against you. So It's okay. Have compassion for yourself and others. So, all right, cool. Well, let's see. So we got into that part real quick. We're moving right along. So I was going to bring into me, because more of my background in Christianity and Gnosticism, but I wanted to really go through something on Gnostic and then get into some ancient Egypt stuff, and then Ra.
Perfect.
And finish with some simple objects. Yeah, I think this would be a great bridge to our next episode.
Just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm just going to change my chair.
Yeah, take a moment. I'll actually pull this up. Okay.
Yeah.
And for the audience, just so people know, this may be some information later down the road. A lot of my notes, I'm not reading off something that somebody else wrote. This is a construct of artificial intelligence with a different learning language model that's constructed. So it's still all my own expression and subject matter overlapped into context. So it's still everything I want to talk about. Are you guys good, Vince?
Yeah, I just muted the mic by the time that Niama prepare. We will upgrade the setup here, so go ahead. I will just mute the mic the time that you put the table.
Perfect. All right, so let's see. So before I'm kind of going to get into a little more of the energy from a Gnostic understanding is in the Gnostic belief is more about the dissension of man. And this concept I learned a little bit ago is more about when people are understanding modern day Christian about Garden of Eden, the story of Adam and Eve. There's a lot of different stories about that, actually. There's a lot of different, there's just a lot of different stories that people believe behind it. But the universe is typically divided into a spiritual pleroma in the material. The pleroma presents the fullness of divine reality where all beings exist in unity with the divine source, often personified as the monad or the true God. What we usually would refer to, especially in a channeling setting or something, maybe a source, right? So the definition where we all come from one. The material world, in contrast, is seen as a lower imperfectum realm created by the demiurge, a lesser and often arrogant, malevolent deity. Into the dissension of man, the pleroma and the fall. The pleroma is a realm of light and perfection where divine beings called eons reside. These eons are emanations of the monad, and their unity represents the fullness of the divine presence. Sophia's fall is a key narrative in Gnostic cosmology, involves the fall of Sophia. This is important in feminine aspect energy, this part of the story. Involves the fall of Sophia, which she's supposed to be the eon of wisdom. So if you think of eons of So the monad, the source, had to have like a reflection of itself, an understanding of itself, right? So a reflection of itself, that it had to observe that reflection. So that's kind of the Holy Trinity in that context. The eons are like thought forms that come after that. So when a conscious perception of the source eventually unfolds, you have these different thought forms, and these become what these other eons are typically all called. And Sophia, one of the last ones, which she's the one of wisdom, thought it so wise upon herself to become like the monad and reproduce without without consult. Yeah. And basically an okay of it. So, but that's why they call the fall kind of a Sophia. But out of desire to know the unknowable monad creates a disruption in the pleroma. This results in her fall into the lower realms and creation of the material world and the demiurge. Creation of the material world, the demiurge, often identified with the God of Old Testament, creates a material world. He is typically depicted as arrogant in the higher spiritual realms, falsely believes himself to be the supreme deity. So the dissension of man, the divine spark, according to Gnostic belief, human beings possess a divine spark, a fragment of the divine essence trapped within the material body. The spark is a remnant of the higher divine reality and represents the true self. Ignorance and forgetfulness, the material world governed by the demiurge and his archons, is a place of ignorance and forgetfulness. Humans are unaware of their true divine nature, are trapped in a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The role of the Gnosis. Salvation in Gnosticism is achieved through Gnosis, or direct experiential knowledge of the divine. So knowledge truly is the bridge to source, and just the gnosis of it. So this knowledge awakens the divine spark within individuals, reminding them of their true origin, leading them back to the pleroma. The Redeemer. The Gnostic texts often speak of divine Redeemers such as Christ, who descends from the pleroma to impart Gnosis. That's energetically, if you think of Jesus in any construct, whether he's a physical representation or an energetic representation, he represents this, representation of what this connection can be with the divine, and he's here to teach people, right? But this figure is not merely a savior in traditional sense, but a revealer of hidden truths, enabling individuals to transcend the material world. So then it kind of gets into a little bit of more, like there's some notes on the secret book, the Apocrypha of John, and you can get into the secret books of John and some of that gets into the Gnostic. But that's the dissension of man, is that basically Adam and Eve too, and that what I was kind of referencing is that it's really more the fragmentation as it works down instead of working up. People see it as like, oh, that's a closer source to God. We'll think it was like an elevator going down. So in that same energetic context. So I like to talk about the Gnostic stuff before we get into the next section, just because it kind of always usually speaks to me because of my background and my upbringing in Christianity, because that kind of is where it all really does originate from. So what I really hear from the Gnostic on this energy is, especially if this is, think of it like this. If we're thinking about time as a linear structure, and at some point in time, even though we always understand everything's kind of a now, there's parallel probabilities and all these different, somewhere in time, this ancient culture it's going through this like heightened state of balance of energies. Right? And they're so in tune with spiritual nature. They're so in tune with their environment, but they know these energies are going to happen and there's nothing they can do. There's just like, think of the Yuga. There's nothing they can do. It's not about leaving a message necessarily for people. They just lived. But I think what the Gnostic is that's the early stages of us in my representation of teaching me about the almost destruction of the feminine energy, because it's already almost putting Sophia in this bad like light.
Yeah.
And then Christianity kind of like spins in this vortex off of it, and then it just becomes a hierarchy structure to fragment everybody's energy and all these things and titles. But anyways, I'll digress and kind of move on a little bit from that, because that's just one part of the historical context to divine feminine and masculine energies. And we'll get into the ancient Egyptian stuff and then Ra next, but I don't know if there's anything you guys want to interject with about so far where we've been at in this space.
Well, not you said everything really right. I just want to add that I've been raised as a Christian myself. I was born and raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And what is definitely what we are really seeing in Christianity is really, like you're saying, this higher value for the masculine energy. And that because of the feminine energy, everything got messed up. Everything is becoming a problem. The problem comes from feminine energy. It is the feminine energy that created the problem, and now we're stuck with it now until today. And when you think about those things, there is no way that any being can be balanced. There is no way that nobody can be in acceptance and in aligned with its own feminine energy, with our own feminine energy. The feminine energy is wounded from the start because of how they construct this ideology, and because of that, nobody is, and it's not. It's not surprising that a lot of people, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people have mental issues, emotional distress. It's because your feminine energy is so out of balance. So it's all coming together. We are in a masculine era, so it makes sense that we are more towards the masculine energy and everything that goes with it. Now the feminine energy is coming back, like you said earlier. But I hope that this time we can really balance them both, and that the cycles may, even if we're going to go through the cycles, that we're going to go through them in a more balanced way, so that the masculine is not downed and the feminine is like, can we just, even if it's a bit like this, can we just keep it like this? Not like, so that's what I hope for the future.
Interesting perspective. But me, I see that the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
Me, like, I see that we are into a feminine era, but we are being coaxed to believe that we are in the masculine, but we are stuck in the very feminine.
But we are in a feminine era. I agree with you on what you're saying, because I know why you say that.
Where it's coming
But
from.
what I want to add is that we are in a wounded feminine energy intertwined in a masculine era. So we are in a feminine era because we are not into action and into what we have to be to create the outcome that we want, and we are just waiting for the program or the matrix to feed us in our feminine energy, right? So we're just like, please feed me, please give me money, please, I have to buy food, give me the food that I have to buy to eat. So we are in a feminine energy, but it's a wounded one.
Yeah, wounded, totally. But to me, like, the name of the game at this stage is to rebalance the masculine. So by rebalancing the masculine, the feminine being a reflection of the masculine, it will rebalance it by default.
I hope that's what we're going to be able to achieve.
This is my mission.
In the next
I'm
era.
all about that. Yeah. And this is like teachings coming back to our previous work with the channelings with Zico from Ancient Lemuria.
Yeah.
So these are teachings from Zico. the collective from ancient Lemuria. So they pointed that out to us, and it made so much sense. And I have that YouTube Rumble video. I can put the link about those video for those who wants to go into detail into what I just said, which is the channeling itself, where they explain that we are stuck into a very feminine era, thinking that we are into a masculine, but that's...
I don't know if they said the word era or energy. I don't remember.
I don't remember the detail, but that's my take on it.
Era and energy, it's similar, but maybe it's a bit different, because the era is where we are at in the cycle, but energy is how we are projected in the era. For me, there's a slight.
So can I?
You think you are living in a man's world. You are living in a highly feminized world. They made you believe that all you see around you, the mindset is highly masculine. But the truth is that masculinity has been eradicated. Which is why the masculine energy must be brought back in the realm to recreate the polarity that is now missing. You see males around you that are lost, and female wanting to act as men because they are lost. But if you implement the given energy within both polarities has to align, because the higher energy of the masculine energy will rebalance the feminine energy, which will still flee, which will still sink within oneself in the giving. And when the giving is balanced within the feminine, because the feminine is the reflection of the masculine, the balance will be brought back. It's just common knowledge. Which is why what you need in your realm is masculine energy, giving, both polarities, giving. In the giving, you receive.
There you go.
Completely normal, easy, simple concepts. But you think that you are living in a man's world. You are living in a feminized world. Well, all you do is open your mouth and wait to be fed. Because you do not know how to create for yourself anymore. They told you how to create. They told you how far you can go to create. And they told you how deep you can go to create. And with that being fed to you, without your consent, if we can say that, you are in your feminine energy, always waiting for the semen to be given to create. Now it's time for you to give your semen to energy work and to the earth. Giving. Polarity.
So can I
Yeah,
interject?
go ahead.
Yeah.
So I would say this: you both are right.
I know.
So,
Of course.
yeah. So from my understanding is that, like, we can have, and this is an important thing about, I just want to say this about the Raw podcast. you can have multiple perspectives and they can all be true.
Yeah.
Like you can have dialogue where it's different, but it's still true. So here's my have you guys heard of the devouring mother concept?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Maybe.
So
Maybe I did, but I
Yeah.
don't know the term.
okay.
Oh.
So this is great. So, and trust me, I've just started learning this stuff too. So I'm no expert, but my understanding of all it is, and how I attach it to my observations through life is, you both are right. Where the Yuga cycle, again, going back to it, we've had these energetic fluctuations in the cosmos. That is going to happen. So in the highlight of this period where the masculinity destroyed the feminine energy, like absolutely, like Vince, you got to think of it back like in the heightened times of like the 1400s. I mean, women almost had to become masculine against each other just to protect themselves against each other and just their whole environment in general. So you have this heightened, energy. Now what you see in today's world is you see this devouring mother concept, and what it is, and I have some inserts I'll read from it, but from my own understanding before I read from the script, is it's this energy is they felt the one thing they had to do is protect their children. And so the devouring mother concept is they go into overprotection of the children, even from their own father, in an energy almost control drama type of thing too sometimes. And that creates a different layer of fragmentation. And then you have men who grow up who don't know how to be self-independent and don't know how to step into their masculinity. So it's even it's a ripple. It's a quantum ripple, buddy. Like throw a stone, a ripple, that's what it is on an energy level, and a fragmentation inside the era. So in my understanding, you both are right in that concept. And let me read this real quick, and then you guys can talk about the devouring mother. But from a psychological perspective, the devouring mother can have significant impacts on children, leading to issues like lack of independence, identity problems, and emotional difficulties. Children raised by a devouring mother may struggle to make decisions, assert themselves, and form a personal identity to separate from their mother. Now, how does this relate to the masculine energy? The concept of the devouring mother highlights the importance of balance between nurturing and allowing independence. While the feminine energy associated with nurturing is crucial, and excess can lead to control and stifling of growth. That's important, especially when you're trying to align with your higher self and teach your children to do the same thing. On the other hand, healthy masculine energy promotes autonomy, resilience, and strength. So that's kind of where it leaves off at that. But, understanding that concept, I will say this. The masculine in me understands too that, like, for me on a personal note, I've maybe kind of drawn that energy from women, I don't know how or why, but like, it's been something I've noticed even in my personal space, a pattern that's represented. So, but now that I understand why the feminine energy has had to do that, it's a completely different perspective. It's funny how a little different piece of information can just change your whole conscious structure and how you view a whole feminine aspect. But that's how it was for me when I understood the devouring mother at a different level. And
when you understood from where it came from.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. They had no choice. Because obviously biologically, things do matter. And I will say, like, a part of some of the stuff I wrote in year 2 is think about in that time, like, some of the biggest masculine energy is when you could be like a knighthood. You could go die for the cause. It was very noble. And like, it was a very like, man, dog eat dog world. So the feminine energy, like, they were just lucky to protect their kids and survive. That's it, So you could see how after generations of abuse, how the traumatic autonomic nervous responses to DNA follow the chain and create this energy and energetic structure. And so when I do look at that differently, like it has helped me though too, because now that you understand it and you can recognize it and be a little more compassionate with it, hold space for it, and those who, you know, whatever, that's sometimes their autonomic response to things at an energetic level, you could be more compassionate with it. So that's how I feel.
Yes,
So,
I agree totally, and it's important to remember. It's like anyone, and it's like a kid having bad behaviors. You know, when you know from where it comes from, because it's your kid, so you know that you fucked up, a few years ago, and then this happened, and then now your kid has to deal with that, or the mother did it, and then from where it comes from. It's much easier for you to understand your kid and to actually help them to heal properly and further in time and quicker, because you
yes.
understand from where the wounds are coming from. And yes, they had to fight, and yes, they had to be really masculine energetically, because there was no place for them. And let's not forget that for centuries they were killed and called witches whenever they would ex- express a type of power,
Yeah.
even if it was just even if it was just she's too beautiful and she can make her man do whatever she wants. Oh, it's because she's a witch, that's why, and we have to kill her. But the girl was just using her feminine energy to get what she wanted, and she would get killed for that reason.
Women
And
couldn't even talk.
they couldn't talk. You have
Yeah.
to stay
Yeah.
in place. You couldn't vote. If you look at all the time and
Oh, yeah.
all this time that they, and this is why, I'm against feminism, but I
Modern day.
understand. Yes,
day.
modern
Modern
day.
day.
Yeah. But I understand why it's here now.
Mm.
And you cannot be mad at them.
No, because now women can talk. And
Yes.
that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Because now we see like women, like they can talk, but they went to an extreme. So now it's like to bring back the balance where they can express themselves. But as a divine feminine and masculine, we need to find that space and that time to speak when we can have that heart to heart conversation.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Well, but I think a part of that key is that a true divine masculine, you hold space to protect that feminine energy. That's the thing. Like
Yeah, but she
you
needs to
have
behave as such. I mean, she cannot just attack. And because
No,
now,
no.
Of course.
yeah, because now we are into that other extreme. So it's like, yeah, back to that balance.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that, like, I'm just saying that, I really mean that on a global thing. If other men try to control that energy, a true divine masculine stands up for that energy as well, not just somebody he's in contact with.
Absolutely.
That's not how it works.
It's
I
the
mean, that's
energy.
just not,
Yes.
yeah, and to be truly sovereign, you have to stand up for that, because that's how her energy is destroyed. Because in some respects she can't. It's that is the support system, because in some respects she can't. It's just call it what it is. Like, we can get into it, people. Like, biology is biology, dense, like bone structure, things, aggressive, abrasive nature, whatever, like testosterone. We can go into a different multitude of conversations and down rabbit holes, but like, men have that space, and they have in this era, and it's just where you've stayed, and it's where it's been. So with that being said, like, mostly, like, for you to be a true divine masculine in that era, like, you have to be sovereign and respect that energy, like, regardless, anytime you see it. So, but the nice thing is like, for me, I understand it though too, is I get to call it out when it's bullshit.
Of course.
And I think that's kind of what, in some respects, I will say, like, I feel like, not what Vince is saying, but just like his energy is trying to get out, is that, like, because there is some of it that gets abused, right? And women do construct that environment for themselves, but because there isn't a victim mentality for it either. They have to stand up in their own in their own, they have to stand into their own powers on it as well, but we have to support that. Like, that's the thing. It is your divine calling to do that.
To create the space.
And I think that's the power of the masculine energy. As when you are with a masculine man that has his masculinity under control, then you feel free to express yourself, but you also know the boundaries that are being set for you and for him, but for you. And within this frame, you express yourself, and it is the masculine, I want to say, duty to hear, not to do everything you say. Even that's what we hope would happen sometimes.
Wishful thinking, right?
Wishful thinking, But of course, I'm going to be honest. But it's to hear and to acknowledge. And within this power that the masculine has, it's going to calm down the feminine energy. And the feminine energy will feel seen, because we were not seen for so many centuries. So when you feel that you are seen, when you feel that you are seen, your nervous system and the fight or flight can tone down.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It can balance. It can harmonize.
Exactly.
Yeah,
perfect.
And that's great, man. That's awesome. And so, with that being said, like, I think the times that people, quote unquote, so think of it like this, like I look at it like energetic wise. Everything anymore to me is energy. I know that sounds so, like, when you really just keep even telling yourself over and over and over, I know that, like, if I want to get my way across, it's not through words anymore. It's through my energy that I give her. Because if it's not something I'm feeling, or I don't feel like I'm being respected, I just don't give her my energy the same way. And then she eventually will come and meet me in a neutral ground energetically. She will. Even if I just have to give her time. She may get a little upset and I just have to be patient. But, like, seriously, that's what I've learned is, like, it's about letting people kind of balance and then come to this space, and then they can have a dialogue. Because if there's never an energetic space to have dialogue, you really don't have a relationship.
And it's really important what you just said, because, like I said earlier, the feminine energy needs space to express and needs safety to express. And when you allow her energy to just be for a moment, and she's probably not, it's not the way that she is all the time. Of course, if she's always like, then it's like you have to make a choice in life. But when those times happen and you allow space and you allow the storm and you let the storm, like, do its thing, and then after a while she's just gonna see, even through the storm, he let me be.
Yes.
Now it's time to get calm the fuck down.
I love that. That is a great, great way to say it. Even through the storm, even through the bad parts of me,
exactly,
he didn't make it about him.
Exactly. I'm not dead.
And and it sounds silly, but, like, I look at it like this. Think about an energy that was abandoned generation after generation in some respects. So you're dealing with women or a female energetic aspect that has been damaged for a very long time. So, like, you have to save space. And, like you said it best, you allow the storm, but then you keep reminding him, like, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Exactly.
I'm still providing support and safety. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. You kind of went a little crazy, and that's okay. Yeah. It's cool. Like, I'm still here. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
it's perfect.
What? Is that all you got?
Yeah. Exactly. No, that's what she needs. That's what she needs. She needs to know that she can be within your masculinity and be seen and safe.
So, but what I'm finding out, though, too, and this is for my personal struggle right now, is, not to get too much into it, but so you can provide that safety as a divine masculine, But if a devouring mother comes in and it becomes between you having this like leadership and feeling support and having that relationship, but you don't want 20 things of ice cream in your fridge, and the woman doesn't support that because her kids want it because she wants to devour them, I can't win in that relationship because that's her children.
Absolutely. She will fight. She
It'll
will
be a
fight
wedge.
you and she will fight
It'll be a
you.
wedge every time. I can't.
Yeah.
I will lose every time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
with that being said, I'm not saying, one way or another where my life's going, but like I'm just saying that in respects that, when you look at energy, man, and how those relationships bounce, and that unified quantum entanglement bubble always, like that's how it is. So I've learned that transmutation of the energies and the alchemization, if you want to call that a thing, like that's what happens is you start seeing it at that level, but then you can start using your energy as a tool, not an ego trip, not I'm not going to be around you and hold my energy because I don't want to, I'm just my ego. That's different,
Mhm.
But like if you set some boundaries, because I will say there's sometimes in my life where there's a little bit of chaos that comes with that. And I have to tell anybody, I don't care, even my own children, that you're being too chaotic. It's not balanced. I need space, whatever. I'll go read a book. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. So, like, that is something that I think that we all need to kind of realize in a lot of these constructs. That's when you look at energy, it plays a very big role. And there's a very big reason why heavy female aspects of that energy feel a certain way, especially when it comes to children, and how they want to do things. And then there comes a very big part of the masculine getting a little bit impatient with supporting the feminine, and her in turn kind of giving him that, how do you say it? Like giving him the reins, because that is a big part of it. I think eventually when you step into your own as a divine couple,
Mhm.
is to have that, if you are truly going to be balanced, like it's kind of hard to have two leaders leading the ship. Left or right brain has to kind of fire at one time or the other.
Absolutely.
Like who's in control at this moment, so it's not real. Let's put it that way. Yeah. It's who's really just at the wheel in that moment, of energy in that relationship.
Mhm.
And when you truly step into that, I think that's when people will be very impactful. So.
Yeah, and I just want to add one more thing about what you just said, and I think that it's important to understand, or no, I'm going to say it differently. I think that different couple may choose different leaders, and I also think that there is a time where both can lead, but for different reason and for different situation. Let's just say if I'm a mathematician and he's not, then I'm gonna lead the mathematic in the couple. And it's not that I overtake, it's just that oh my god.
Oops.
Sorry. Cigar.
Cigar.
Give me time to breathe.
Yeah. I'll put it aside.
Thank you very much. Like I was saying, it's not that you want to overtake, but I think that it's good to have a back and forth depending on who has strength. But for me, overall, the masculine energy is more equipped to lead because its energy is always more linear, stable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's always trying to bring in order.
exactly.
It's trying to bring in the negatropic energy and sometimes the female is.
Exactly. It's all over it.
And the male's gotta be like,
It's
hey, come on.
Come on.
Depends
Calm
where
down.
you're in the cycle.
Chill.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
What hormones going on. So yeah.
But that's okay because like honestly, like anybody who's listened to that says they don't deal with that, please, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, I mean, I think we're always, even as humans, like there's a little bit of chaos, then you have, or you want order, whatever, in certain parts of your life. So that's always a thing too. So we have the different feminine and masculine parts about ourselves. That isn't just a couple thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this, to everything we've kind of said is the female, don't destroy her energy has kind of been a big thing for me lately. And that also goes for Gaia. Like Gaia
The female
is
what?
Don't destroy her energy. Like
The
that
female
has
don't
to,
destroy her energy?
No. I'm just saying, like, in the thing I've been thinking about, the feminine aspect. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me go back. I apologize. The thinking of the feminine aspect is don't destroy her energy. And really in today's message, like masculinity in today's world, like some people may think, oh, Father's Day podcast, like, it's cool. It's about like dude stuff. And masculinity in today's world, it's like, bro time. And it's like, no, not at all. Right.
Football.
But yeah,
cigars.
Yeah.
It's Father's Day. Sunday, time to chill.
Hey, no, you do you, man. But like, really, it's the energy, man, is saving space for the feminine aspect. And for myself, like, I've been trying to find ways, and I want to get into the ancient Egyptian stuff and Ra to kind of close us out, to bridge us hopefully into the next stuff later on down the road. But it's that, we divine masculines have to actually like balance that inside themselves first. And I think that's actually the first big spark in this shift. And then when we're talking energies, it's really about, it has to actually start from the masculine side, because the masculine is the one that destroyed it. So it's almost like it has to back off. Sorry.
Yeah, no, perfect. No, because I was going to say that, because when you think about all the religious was pushed through masculine energy, and this masculine energy destroyed the feminine principle within them. So of course it has to start from the masculine to rebalance and reaccept and take back their feminine energy to actually balance it in other beings, woman, and when if you look at it through the Christian eye, the man came first, and then the woman was taken out of his womb. So it only makes sense when you think about it that way. It's not about religion. It's about the not the egregor. I want to say the energy. I have another word, but I don't remember the word. The energy of the masculine energy that came forward, and then the feminine energy came after. It's created out of the. So when you want to create an outcome, it has to come from your masculine energy, and it's going to be put into the word, like giving birth, through the feminine energy. But it comes from the masculine and out to the feminine, and the feminine creates other things.
If I can express it maybe my way, it's like, as the masculine, like, you use your masculine energy like to shield, to protect, like, the energy, everything around you, and then like that you can move forward in your feminine energy to be able to receive. So it's to balance those two energies. So as a divine masculine, it's to master the masculine and the feminine as well, because we all carry both energy. Like, it's not just I'm masculine, she's feminine.
Absolutely.
It's not just that. So it was just another way to express what you were saying with my grain of salt. Yeah. So
that's your version of like the expansion and the constriction of energies in your own fragmentation of your own energetic being, basically.
Yeah.
Because every time, and maybe think of it as a progressional thing too, like every time you're kind of stepping into this new guidance, it's your masculine energy, like saying go do it. You know what I mean? Go build.
Exactly.
And then you have to, but to like create and be more in spirit and like in touch with it, you have to like
be in the
Be in the
feminine.
feminine.
Be in the
Exactly.
feminine.
Feel it.
To
Feel your
move
way
forward.
through it.
Yeah, to walk with strength, but in
Yes.
feminine, to
And
be
you
able
feel
to
your
receive.
way.
Yeah.
You walk and
yeah,
you feel your way through with you feel the walk.
You feel old.
You're not just walking.
Yeah.
You feel the walk.
while shielding it with the masculine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I will say though, and here's the thing, and I will put this out there because it is Father Day, so maybe this is my little put it on at the end from the masculine energy, is I'll always support that feminine energy and protect it. But my thing is to most of the feminine energy in my culture is this. If you actually come across the divine masculine, will you trust yourself enough and to even step into that role with that person? Because that is hard, because the energy has been so destroyed that a lot of times, even when women they have a strong masculine that's a good harmonization, they can't trust it.
Mm.
So you have to be able to recognize that,
Yeah.
discern it, but also step into that, because that is a big part of it.
That's
you have
massive,
to trust
what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
We see that a lot.
Absolutely. It's
We see
super
that
important.
a lot. It's super important. Yes.
Yeah.
Because if she can't trust it, then
Well, it's because she's afraid.
Yeah, it's back to
and she's been abused
and
a
trauma
lot.
And she's not giving you her sovereignty. She's not giving you that.
No.
She's giving you a support that the masculine needs. He needs that balance too. He needs to feel the same support. It's always back to the ancients, man. They taught us that. You know what I mean? It always has to come back to that. So, but yeah, that is my thing. If women in my area, like if you come across that, I challenge yourself to ask you that. Like, if I have a good, strong man, is he good to my kids? Does he provide good leadership? Is he always out for the best interest? Even if sometimes maybe it's a little bit over the top, you know what I mean? And I will say that. But like, and today, if you have a divine masculine, think about this too, Vince. If you have a divine masculine, and we've grown up in this world that is created to destroy true masculinity, you've always struggled sometimes with getting along with this other masculine energy. And so like, it's hard for you to have that trust and stay there and stay with it constantly and provide that patience and support. But then if a man does that and is leading in that way, can the female aspect trust herself enough to trust her energy, to just give him the keys? And that's hard, It
is.
So
both ways.
Yeah. So it's equally shared in some respects, but I think that's truly where I start to get into my space. And I don't have any expectation or outcome. I think that's important for people to kind of get to, is we can try to future predict what that is for our partner, whether it's better conversations or they understand our hobby more, or I don't feel like they're quite getting me or what I do. Give it patience, because like, if you're experiencing something in your own perspective, and it's especially even something really cool and really blissful, a lot of people may not understand it. You're the only one that does. So it's okay. Like, it may come in time. It may take a while, whatever, but like, that's okay too. So, but anyways, do you guys want me to read this little short intro thing I had about ancient Egypt and Ra real quick, and then we can kind of close out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So yeah, in talking about the energies, ancient Egypt provides another fascinating context for understanding masculine and feminine energies. The Egyptians had a complex, rich mythology where these energies were personified in their gods and goddesses. In Egyptian mythology, the balance of masculine and feminine energies is embodied in gods Osiris and Isis. Osiris represents the archetype masculine energy. He is the god of the afterlife, the dead, and the resurrection. Osiris embodies traits such as strength, leadership, and justice. His story of death and resurrection symbolizes the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, reflecting the enduring nature of masculine energy. Isis, his wife, represents the archetype Feminine energy. She is the goddess of magic, fertility, and motherhood. Isis is known for her nurturing and protective qualities, using her magical abilities to resurrect Osiris and protect their son, Horus. The partnership of Osiris and Isis illustrates the harmonious interplay between masculine and feminine energies, where protection and nurturing work alongside strength and leadership. The story of Horus, the son of Osiris and Isis, further highlights the theme of masculine energy. Horus, the falcon-headed god, is associated with the kingship in the sky. His battles against the Set, the god of chaos and disorder, symbolize the struggle to maintain order and justice. Horus's triumph represents the assertion of righteous masculine energy, ensuring the stability and continuity of the kingdom. The Egyptians also revered the sun god, Ra, who embodies the powerful and life-giving aspects of masculine energy. Ra was considered the king of gods and the creator of all life. He journeyed across the sky by day, providing light and warmth, and traversed the underworld by night, symbolizing the eternal cycle of renewal and protection. Ra's daily journey across the sky is a potent symbol of masculine energy's cyclical nature. It illustrates the balance of power and nurturing by providing light and sustaining life. Ra nurtures the world, but his journey through the underworld also represents a perfective and regenerative force. Ra's association with the sun underscores the life-giving and protective aspects of masculine energy. As the sun, Ra is the ultimate source of light and energy, making life on Earth possible. His daily journey across the sky is not just a physical phenomenon, but a profound spiritual narrative that symbolizes the continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Ra's importance extends beyond his role as the sun god. He is also a symbol of kingship and authority. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt were considered the earthly embodiment of Ra, chosen to rule with the same wisdom, strength, and protective qualities that Ra exhibited. The divine connection justified their power and reinforced the idea that pharaoh's leadership was a reflection of the cosmic order. Moreover, Ra's mythological battles against the forces of chaos, represented by the serpent Ophiuchus, highlight the ongoing struggle between order and disorder. Every night, Ra battles in the underworld, ensuring the sun will rise again. This eternal conflict underscores the masculine energy's role in maintaining balance and protecting creation from the forces of chaos. Ra's mythology also intertwines with other deities, reflecting the complex interplay of energies in the Egyptian pantheon. For instance, Ra merges with Horus to become Ra Horkathi, embodying both the sun's power and the sky's kingship. This union exemplifies how different aspects of masculine energy can combine to form a more comprehensive force. In addition, Ra's connection with Maat, the goddess of truth, balance, and justice, further emphasizes his role in upholding cosmic order. Maat represents the feminine energy of harmony, stability, and her partnership with Ra illustrates the essential balance between masculine and feminine principles. Together, they ensure the universe's orderly function, demonstrating that true power lies in the equilibrium of these energies. The story of Ra teaches us that masculine energy, at its best, is not just about dominance or control. It's about illumination, nurturing, and the relentless pursuit of order and balance. Ra's mythology reminds us of the profound impact that the well-balanced masculine energy can have on the world, bringing light, life, and stability to all it touches. So I mean, honestly, when I put that together in that context, like, it's everything that was in true thought about, like what you just said, Niyama, is that it has to come from the masculine, because that's kind of the archetype and the creating energy. Whether it's what Vince, like you said, it's that thought that drives you to it, but then when you step into it, the female is the other aspect. It's it's that other support behind it. So I think Ra teaches us individually the same thing. And when you start to balance that energy, even with whom you balance it with in your environment, your relationship, work relationships, all the things, everything energy, thinking about it in that terms, I think what you're really starting to find in people is an embodiment of this different aspect that they touch into themselves, that people are starting to measure by data. Like, that's what I will say. Like, the nice thing about living in a time where we're not in the 13 and 1400s, like I will say, Andrew, he always does a good job of teaching me this, is that once it's recorded on here and we put it on internet, it's kind of out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a forever stamp past this point in time. And this, I guess, dimension, structure, or whatever, that's how I look at it, right? And that nexus point. So they didn't have that option in 1400s because they didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
So we're going off of stories and drawings, you know?
Absolutely.
And so, but anyways, if that's the way you look at it, we're stepping into that, to a different aspect. And then now with our technology, you're combining all that together. That's why we definitely got to start harmonizing our energy, because as that technology implosion that's going to happen over the next 40 years, like, needs to be balanced, needs to be harmonized.
Absolutely.
Different aspect. But yeah, so that's cool, man, about the raw stuff. I really liked how, you know, it's constructed into it, and I'll digress and let you guys speak.
Well, you said so much.
Yeah, you said a lot, and and raw. It's very well said. And to me, it's funny how it comes, because I don't want to put you on the spot, but Jonathan and I were talking, and we had the call, and it will be up to you, of course. But for the next episode, to welcome Raw on the show, we were like there.
Okay. Depends when. Yeah,
depends when, of course, yes. But for some reason, but it's up to you and your sacred energy. Yeah. If you're willing to do a channeling.
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be.
But for the next one, you know, if you plan it too fast, it might not be the next one. But whenever it's time and we know I'm not working, then
and
yes,
you are in
I
a
will.
Good space for that.
Yeah, I will do it definitely.
Cool.
Within the few
we'll see.
Days, weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just play that by ear and not have any expectation on the outcome if it's the next episode. But let's I'm in agreement. So let's plan for it. If it ends up being the next episode, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm not in any rush, because, you know, honestly, like, the stuff we're talking about, you guys know, like, we could talk about this a lot, and I think it will have a lot of purpose and meaning. I actually had a little personal event. I rode the car with some friends, and I was talking to them a little bit about the learning language model and, like, some different aspects and AI and just different things to think about in these energy terms. And, you know, a couple of them were like, man, I really like hearing about this stuff. Like, I really like, you know, like, the drive is there because, like, they're kind of like, yeah, I listen to that music all the time. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's new, it's different, but, like, they're still kind of searching, you know, it's on their antenna is still kind of like raw, you know, and it really resonates with people, because they do start to see, for me, when I started learning some of these terms, because they had to be presented to me, you know, before I started understanding it, and when I could analogize it and then put it into my whole conscious perspective and understanding the way that I looked at how energy could even be back then, and even how it was said to be at multiple points of view in that point in time. So I have to believe there's some validity in it being destroyed, obviously. So, you know, I wasn't there to experience it. And I will say, a lot of times on the show, we don't want to get in debates about saying it was a certain way. That's the way I intuitively feel about it. Even I think most people and historians and things would go back and say that, yeah, it's all been documented, well documented, those type of energy imbalances and the destruction of the female aspect. So, you know, kind of closing this up a little bit with raw and going into it, I'm 1000% on board. I'm more than grateful and very humbled. And the thing I have understood about even my own journey is that it always has to be, when you're in your space. So whenever you're ready, let me know. And closing out on Father's Day, thank you guys. I'm grateful for your time away from your kids, and just even your weekend to talk about energies and what we've all been experiencing lately. So thank you for these talks, because sometimes feeling certain ways, like I said, about feeling like you come from more of a divine masculine perspective, you don't sometimes get a lot of support in a world that doesn't provide that masculinity a lot of support. So it is important on Father's Day to hold space for that.
Yeah, and to also to say thank you to all the men for keeping the society up and running. We have beautiful streets, we have houses, we have cars. Most of those things are made by men. Construction wise, maybe they are even created. A lot of it is created by men.
Engineering is more
men. So we have to appreciate it, and we have to appreciate them, because without them we would have to do it ourselves, and I don't know how it would look, because I've never been in that type of world, right? But one thing that is for sure is that while they are doing this, we can embody another aspect of life, and we can work on other things. So they are the half of us. We are the half of them. So we are made equal. It's not about who's best. It's just about everybody has a role.
Yeah, different role in the same game.
Exactly. And I think that with this knowledge, like you were saying earlier, the feminine energy that is wounded and that is highly in her masculine energy, after a while of being confronted, not in a pejorative way, by the divine masculine energy, will calm down. And it is time, I think, for all those feminine energy, all those highly masculine energetic girls to realize that, a lot of women, they will say, you cannot take my energy because I'm too strong for you. And, they go with their attitude, like saying, oh, I'm too much for you. No, you're not too much for anyone. You're even too much for yourself. Just allow yourself to just relax the ego for just a second and embrace the masculine energy that is in front of you, and allow him to come and just meet in the middle. It's not that you are too strong or he is not strong enough. He is too weak. He cannot deal with my, because I'm so strong. It's not about that. It's really about union. And when you let go of the ego from both polarities, then we can really have a talk. And then we can really work together. Because the truth is that everybody has some type of a big ego, even if it's a protective ego or a big ego, like, oh my God, I'm that, I'm everything. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a big ego. And I just wanted to add that, because I think I see that a lot in
certain environments trigger your ego.
Yeah.
Certain environments trigger that ego.
Yes, of course.
Think about it. Like, there's certain environments you step into and you're like, wow, why do I all of a sudden feel like I'm battling my ego? This like some old ego thing. But the nice thing is, if you can observe it that way, you can stop it. Yeah,
exactly.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because hold space for your other person too, about like they're dealing with their own ego battles.
Yeah.
And I will say this, like, in closing too, is that you do also have to have boundaries. That is always a very important thing for yourself, in energetic boundaries. And that is not an ego thing. That is a
self-love.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Vince. Well said. That's it. Yeah.
So thank you, masculinity.
Yeah.
Thanks to the men. Happy Father's Day to both of you, and to all the men in the world. And we are grateful and thankful and appreciative for everyone that is called a man, that is a man in this planet Earth.
Yes.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, not an easy task, but we are getting there. So we have to stay strong and keep walking.
Gratitude.
Grateful.
Yeah, the divine masculine's up for the challenge, though. Yes. We all are.
Yeah.
So we all are, even in our masculinity, up for the challenge of creating something new. So
Joy.
Well, I'll say this little thing to wrap it up, and then just kind of, I just hope everybody enjoyed this exploration of the masculine and feminine energies. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Join us next time as we continue to delve into the timeless stories and concepts that shape our understanding of the universe. I'm your host, Jonathan. We'll see you next time. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Together we rise, synchronized, we try. Always.
Yeah. Blessed, you guys. Thank
Blessing.
you. All right.